Right, enough already. Goodness gracious, goodness gracious. So it's been a minute, hasn't it, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, attack helicopters, emotional support bears. Has anybody seen my emotional support bear? He has not been seen at the camouflage training. He's gone AWOL again, is Ted. It's unbelievable. You can't get the help. Who will twiddle the knobs? Who will twiddle the knobs? I don't know. Anyway, once again, we're dealing with Kevin from Hair Cafe today. And somebody posted to his channel my response to his last nonsense about the carnivore diet, wherein I basically verbally spanked the boy around the ring, literally, a pillar to post, that is, that kind of ring. And somebody suggested to him that he might like to debate me. Apparently, in writing, he accepted a challenge from me to come and debate. However, what I've actually heard from Kevin is yeah, so Kevin, I'm still waiting for you to get in touch with me to come and debate the science with me, son. Because Kevin here is a young man with an overinflated ego, actually with a very, very serious ego problem, underpinned by his vast destitution and incompetence in dealing with what the science is and what it says, in an area in which he actually has no training whatever, none at all. So before we get into the takedown of Kevin's video here, the caveats are the usual. Number one, I will be pausing this video as often as I see fit, even in the middle of a sentence if I want to correct things that Kevin gets wrong, and that will be often. If that's triggering for you, you are in the wrong place, and you should probably click off now. If you don't like four-letter words, short ones, some of which might refer to next Tuesday, potentially, you're in the wrong place. And if you're an underage viewer, you're in the wrong place. And your parents should probably be ashamed of themselves for letting you watch my stuff, or for not paying better attention to you while you do watch things on the interwebs, frankly. I'm using the Brave browser today to watch Kevin's video, so I'm told that will stop the issue that we've been having with ads popping up all the time. Let's see if it does. That'll be an interesting n equals 1 occasion experiment to see whether that works or not. Basically, yes, MJ has it dead right. This boy is an absolute waste of perfectly good oxygen. He has nothing to offer whatsoever of any value, except the boy is dripping with Dunning-Kruger arrogance. And while we're at it, maybe you think once you've viewed this video that this boy is one who should be getting 1 or 2 votes on the who is the most offensive influencer online on the YouTube platform, that is, in the area of health, health, fitness, nutrition, you know, all of those things. So far, the tearaway leader is one Lame Norton. No surprises there. Closely followed, again perhaps unsurprisingly, by Chris McCaskill from what used to be called Plant Munchers, and it's now called Viva Longevity Channel. Yes, he's offensive as hell. Mike the Vegan has had some mentions, and pretty much everyone else is bit players getting just a few mentions. So that's interesting. Anyways, we will crack on in just a minute with the critique of Kevin's nonsense, but let's just see who's in the house before we do. Dorota was first in the house today. First, middle, yellow, first. What? Okay, good. Some words. We like words. Words are good. They're good for Al Gore and his rhythms, I'm told. Yes, I know, Jonathan. I know it carries on, carrying on without let or hindrance, doesn't it? The non-ending, perpetuitous, is that a word? I just made it up. The constant stream of excremental, diabolical, ridiculous nonsense from arrogant buffoons who know nothing about what they're talking about. Deborah's here in the house, is good. Apparently the chosen one is a sighted. That's good. We like that. Huang Ling wants us to know that the establishment is trying to blame diabetes on me. Yes, we know. There's nothing new in that. That's been happening for quite some time. Yes, it should be fun. I'm going to have some fun. I hope you guys do. Feral Grandma's here, of course. The Feral Grandma's always here. Yes, impeccable sound. It's good. Yeah, glad sound is good. I have tried very hard for many years to get that right. It's not as easy as some people might have thought. Well, it's not as easy as I thought anyway. Hobbies here. Yes, everybody needs an emotional support bear. Only I can't find mine. Boys and girls, has anybody seen Ted? Oh, no, he isn't. Oh, no, he isn't. I'm just making I provide my own audio for what you guys are saying because I can't hear any of you. Perhaps you should speak up, all of you. Good to see Coach Stephen in the house. Yes, he really is very, very awful, Stephen. You're quite right. Good morning, Nick. Good to see you. MJ's here. Yep. Clock is good. Oh, here we go. Some super chat action straight away from our very, very favoritist person called Juliet on the channel. Yeah, it should be fun. Watching from work. Well, it beats working, Bob. Semi-retired off-grid carnival. Don't get me started on off-grid. We've had some issues this week with the solar panels that have been installed here at this property and the functioning of that system and stuff. And the company concerned has not come to the party or been best useful. Anyway, I'm taking advice from my lawyer this week and we'll see what comes out of that. And I'll let you all know. Question for the new live chatters, or for the live chatters, new or not, I suppose. When the nutrition is listed for vegetables, does it indicate the actual vitamins and minerals absorbed by the body or what is contained in the vegetable serving? The second one. Yes. Hello, David. Good to see Anthony in the house and a bunch of other bigots. Let's crack on anyway so we don't spend all day. But just before we do, let's pay the bills. Did you know that your body renews and repairs itself using a system of adult stem cells that as we age winds down? Isn't that terrible? Luckily, there's a product available for your purchasing pleasure today, which tends to reverse that trend. It's called Stem Enhance Ultra, and the full details of where to get hold of it are wending their way across the bottom of the screen as we speak on that yellow banner that talks about how you can super chat to help us pay for the flood damage because the insurance company isn't. And such like that. There's an address down there for Stem Enhance Ultra. You might as well get some Cyactiv and Plasma Flow while you're there. Best to get it in a wellness pack. That way you get a price break on the products and you don't pay for shipping. Isn't that awesome? There it is there. It says onlinecoach.sorul.com. And that is the address that you can get it from Stephen, Coach Stephen, if you like. You can also get it from my address if you like, which is bkaynutrition.sorul.com. But get it from Stephen. That way we'll both get paid. How's that? All right, let's get on with the critique, I suppose, or the response to Kevin's video here, where he's responding to Face IQ on a live stream that Face IQ did. So, you know, again, Face IQ, I've invited Face IQ to come and have a word with me. We'll do a collaborative because, you know, why not? But again, what I've heard from Face IQ... am I that scary? I've offered him an opportunity to do a collaborative rather than a combative. Still nothing. Okay, or am I that repulsive to everybody? Oh, whatever, you can't please anybody. Can you, Ted? Ted? Again, who's going to twiddle the knobs if we can't find Ted? I hope somebody can help me find Ted by the end of the show. Anyway, Kevin. Right, so this guy's an idiot straight away. There you go. Oh, yes, I love the old response to a response to a response to a response videos. They're fun, aren't they? Yes, so you shouldn't have criticised the carnivore diet really, though, Kevin, because it's something that you don't know anything about whatsoever. We can't hear him? Okay, I need to check out what's going on with that, and we'll go back to the beginning. All right, that's what happens when you change browsers and don't set the settings or whatever. Okay, so let's check on this. No, let's go remove that from there. Talk amongst yourselves while I get my act sorted out, boys and girls. Add to stage. No. Okay, remove, present or invite. Okay, stop screen. Okay, present or invite. Share screen. Also share the audio tab is turned on. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll tell you what we'll do then. We will go back to plan A, which is to watch the video through the Chrome browser where we know this works. Copy. Close. Close. Open up a Chrome browser. Paste. Yes, there it is. Make it full screen. Present or invite. Share the screen. There it is there. Also share the audio tab is clicked. There it is. It's over here. I don't know. Okay. Get rid of that one. Now we've got 2 copies of it open. That's awesome. That's awesome. Welcome to fucking amateur hour. Sorry about this, boys and girls. Let's try this. Just let me know that you can hear Kevin when I press play on this.
Cinematic universe hair loss switchers. Remember, a finasteride a day keeps the hair transplant doctor away.
Right, so can you hear him? Let me know. Now you can hear him. Okay, there you go. So the Brave browser does maybe block the ads, but doesn't transmute the sound correctly, even though it's told to through the StreamYard platform. Isn't that a shame for the Brave browser? The Browse Braver? You know what I mean. All right, let's start again with the response to Kevin's response to the response to the response. Here we go.
Welcome back to the Hair Cafe Cinematic Universe hair loss switchers. Remember, a finasteride a day keeps the hair transplant doctor away.
Right, so that's where I said, right, so this guy's clearly an idiot right from the start.
So, do any of you guys remember the video I made about a month ago where I responded to Face IQ, who himself responded to one of my videos where I criticized...
Right, so that's where I said, yes, isn't it fun, the response videos, aren't they great? Right, I think we're up to speed. Let's go.
The carnivore diet? Well, he's now back with a new response because I guess he can't just let this thing go. Now, I knew this video was coming because one of my viewers told me that Face IQ had created a community post where he announced that he wasn't just making a video. No, he was going to make a video that was going to be one of the highest effort videos on his entire channel. That was over 4 weeks ago, so my expectations were that his video was going to be of extremely high quality with...
Well, like yours, Kevin. Tee-hee.
High production values.
Like yours, Kevin. Tee-hee. Says me, amateur hour. If only Ted was here to help.
And of course, most importantly, is going to be backed by evidence-based scientific research.
No, it isn't.
But I have never been more wrong before in my entire life.
Yes, you have, Kevin. Remember when I corrected you just several weeks ago on your video about how you said the carnivore diet was no good for a bunch of reasons that you couldn't back up with any science whatsoever? You were very, very wrong that day on that video. And I suspect you're going to be very, very wrong again. I suspect you haven't learned a damn thing since my last corrections that I made to you because, well, this is what I've heard from you. Right. Anyway, some meta-level shit you say. Yes. Yeah. All right. Anyway, carry on, Kevin.
This is very boring for me, honestly.
It's very boring for all of us, actually, Face IQ. It's very, very boring dealing with these same ridiculous, arrogant, ignorant buffheads week in and week out. The only thing that differs from week to week is just how offensive and annoying they are and just how truly unattractive they are as people in general.
Watching the video, it is obvious that Face IQ did not want to make this video, and the only reason he did so was because he felt peer pressure from his viewers who kept asking him over and over again when
so complete speculation from you, Kevin. I tell you what, I'm keen to make a video where you and I sit down face to face and we go through and litigate this ridiculous idea you have that the carnivore diet is a problem in some way. Whereupon I will tear you 7 new arseholes scientifically because, son, I'm a scientist and you are not. You will be getting, it'd be like the equivalent matchup between you and I, Kevin, of a 6-year-old girl getting in the ring with Mike Tyson. I'll be Mike Tyson, you'll be a 6-year-old girl, okay? I will absolutely punch you bloody scientifically. How's that? No, Kevin? Okay. Big mouth, no trousers. Righto.
Video was coming out. So, after weeks of preparation and hype, what did Face IQ actually deliver? Well, it's just another lazy live stream like his first response video, although this time he came more prepared since he brings up a minimal amount of scientific research of his own in an attempt to debunk me.
There is no scientific evidence that you can point to with regard to the carnivore diet one way or the other, Kevin. It does not exist still. And the fact that you would think that anything presented by Face IQ would be remotely akin to such shows exactly what I'm talking about, i.e. that you are utterly incompetent, vacuous and destitute of the first clue in this field, and as such should probably keep your ignorant mouth shut, actually.
But he doesn't even get through my entire video. He quits about a third of the way through it. He says in the video...
Tell you what though, we'll get right through your video even though it's over an hour long, Kevin. No matter how long it takes, we're here to the bitter end.
That he's very tired, and I believe him, because his whole attempt at a response is very low energy.
No, actually, Lee, this is a boring stream. This is really fucking boring. I don't feel good right now. I'm tired.
He skips large segments of my video, including important points about the nutritional deficiencies of an all-meat diet.
There aren't any established, Kevin. None at all. False. Wrong. You are absolutely in error in that regard, and I'm quite happy to establish that in a science-based discussion with you face-to-face any day of the week and twice on Sundays, boy.
As well as the health benefits of the phytochemicals found in plants.
Again, same argument. There are none established in the science, Kevin. None at all, still. So we have answers.
Yeah. There you are, guys. Maybe we could skip ahead. And that doesn't mean it's optimal. Yeah, I think I'm done with this video.
You just said that.
He skips over the point I made that the Inuits live on the verge of scurvy and actually...
No, they don't though, Kevin. What are you going to establish that with? What possible thing can you point to for that? Once again, Kevin, that is your opinion that you've just given, and it brings me to mind of my perhaps overused analogy about opinions, but then so are opinions being overused. That analogy, of course, Kevin, being that opinions are just like assholes, in that almost everybody has one, and it's almost certainly full of shit at any given time, and yours is certainly chock full to the gunnels of shit. You are, in fact, nothing but an anus, an excrement producing anus, Kevin, an ignorant anus, without the first clue of what you're talking about as regards science, health, and certainly not nutrition or biochemistry in any way, shape or form. You're a pill-pushing priest of the Church of High Farmer, it seems. You think the answer to a non-problem, i.e. the lack of hair on your head, which isn't a problem, is to take a dangerous drug. Well, you're an idiot.
Get their vitamin C not from meat, but from algae, and they even grow a plant designed specifically to treat scurvy called scurvy grass. He also skips entirely the part of the video on AGE.
So they don't have scurvy because they've dealt with that situation, Kevin? Right, good.
Which are toxic substances that are much more prevalent in meat than they are in plants. So,
well, there's a whole bunch of toxic things in plants that are more prevalent in plants than they are in meats. What's your point? And can you point to any cause and effect relationships between any of these things? No, you can't. Because, Kevin, it's very, very difficult, read impossible, to do experimental science on human beings. Ethics committees tend to be dead set against it, actually. So what we have is a bunch of theology, a bunch of mechanistic speculation, a bunch of reductionist claptrap, in vitro studies, looking at the effects of this or that on isolated cells out of the context of a full working body, you know, all those kind of things. All the things I'll tell you to seven you arseholes regarding if you actually have the balls to front me for a discussion.
He doesn't even bother responding to most of my points, which I'm actually grateful for, I have to be honest, because it makes this video I'm doing now much easier, not to mention a lot
But not any shorter. But you're just going to say it's shorter? No, it isn't. It's still over an hour long, buffhead. During which time you'll give us a bunch of opinions, I'm quite sure, but no fucking science, none at all. And I know that for a fact before you even attempt to do so, Kevin, because, once again, son, it does not fucking exist. Still.
shorter. So he starts out being pretty civil like he did in the first video, but as the
I won't even bother with that with you, Kevin, because actually civility is earned. You get all the respect from me that you deserve, and you are a mindless little cunt. You are an arrogant, ridiculous, offensive little cunt. How's that?
video gradually goes on, you can tell that he's starting to lose his cool, and he makes a lot of personal attacks against me, which gives me a good opening to blame it on his diet, since he constantly blames my demeanor on my diet, but I'm not going to do that. He also frequently...
So now you're going to attempt to take moral high ground, you stupid little boy. You ridiculous cocksplat. You mindless fucking fuck trumpet. What's next?
This represents me as defending a vegan diet in this video, which I wasn't. I was defending an omnivorous diet. But he brings up the vegan straw man more times than I can count, so I'll go ahead and just ignore all that too. He repeatedly says he's bored throughout the stream, and he even encourages his...
We're all bored, Kevin, already, of your entire shtick, actually. Time you shut the fuck up, shut down your ridiculous fucking channel, and just fuck right off. How's that?
Viewers to leave the stream at several points in the video.
This is extremely boring for me, I won't lie. Like, people think that he actually debunked me, which we'll get into this stuff. Hopefully, I think it'll pick up.
Face IQ, you just said people and think in the same sentence. As a general average, people don't think. People that watch my channel are generally at a higher level. They're much more cerebral. They're much more intelligent than your average bear, whether you can find that bear or not. But in general, people are mindless, Face IQ, absolutely mindless. And Kevin is an example of it. Absolutely destitute of a brain cell.
This is just boring as fuck because it's about the definition of a carnivore. Guys, no, you guys can leave the stream. This is boring as fuck, okay? I would much rather be doing face ratings. I would much rather be doing anything else, okay?
Okay, well, that would be boring too, Face IQ. Perhaps you should think about your life.
But no, we don't get to do that. We have to review this now.
No, you don't. You don't have to do anything except pay taxes and die at some point.
Okay? Honestly, please leave the stream. Don't even fucking watch this.
Face IQ.
Is that reverse psychology? Because it would have worked on me. I would have gone, okay, bye.
If you don't want to do a response video to me, then don't. No one forced you to respond to my video. But if you're going to respond, then you shouldn't have just given a half-hearted effort, because that made it especially easy for me to come back and explain once again why you're completely wrong.
No, Kevin, what you did, once again, is give your mindless, arrogant, completely untrained, vacuous fucking opinion. And that's what you're going to do again in this video. How about you grow a fucking set, boy, and come and talk to me face to face about science, whereupon, as I've said, I will tear you a number of new orify without breaking a sweat. Because you have no fucking idea what you're talking about and no basis whatsoever to even attempt such a discussion. Or the other thing you could do is run away with your tail between your legs, which frankly much more sophisticated, much more highly trained, so-called, much more intelligent people than you have done already in their large numbers, Kevin. What I actually find is that the people who tend to be arrogant and stupid enough to actually front me are the ones who are the most destitute of a clue. Which is sad, because it doesn't give the audience an opportunity to see me at my best. Because I just play the shtick and I just be rude to them and I just swear at them and raise my voice and tell them to shut the fuck up and whatever else. And correct them where they're wrong. It's no challenge, Kevin. It's no fun for anybody. But nonetheless, you are challenged, because I believe that you are potentially stupid enough to actually accept that challenge at some point. Try me.
Which brings us to the exact same spot we were in before. So, as you might expect, I still disagree with Face IQ that the carnivore diet is the most natural or healthiest diet.
On what basis, Kevin? On what basis do you form that opinion? Shall we wait for that? Dear, oh dear. It's going to be a long day, isn't it?
I'm not going to go through his whole video, but
well, hang on a minute, Sunshine. Hang on. Did you not just deride him for the exact same thing? Wow. Do you even think before you open your stupid rancid fucking gob? No.
I'll just go ahead and comment on the highlights or lowlights.
Oh, Ron, you will need to report to Ted after class if you can find him. He has not been seen at the camouflage training, but you are late to class, Ron. You know what happens to people who are late to class? They get administrative corrections from Ted. Down the back, where that small guillotine is. And that wetsuit has hanging on the wall there, the one with the bottom cut out, right next to that rampant wildebeest that's tied to the wall. Do try and be in time for class, staff. Goodness, it's not hard. Except, well, it is hard if YouTube doesn't tell you when class is starting. Face IQ. Hello, son. How are you, mate? Look, I have invited you to come and do a collaborative with me, and we'll deal with it together. Perhaps you could respond to the email instead of... Ted was very cross that you didn't get back to us. And you don't want to piss Ted off, I can promise you. Anyway, absolutely, the door is open. Just send me an email and we'll sort it out. We'll have a chat about, well, anything you like, really, except face reading, because that's really boring. I'm here about the science. Okay, right, good. I should think so too. Goodness, I should think so, Ron. Love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I think that it would be very educational. Let's do it. Yes, I do too. I have many emails these days. So do I. Nonetheless, I'm quite important. So, pay attention. Sit up straight. Face the front, everybody. Right, let's hear some more from Kevin, the mindless, vacuous, absolute shit blanket, cock splat fuck monkey. Away you go.
And I'll tell you why I think he is still wrong.
Again, so you'll tell us what you think. You'll give us your opinion about why you think he's wrong.
So, one of the really annoying things about...
One of the really annoying things, Kevin, is vacuous, arrogant, mindless fucking imbeciles like you coming online thinking that you have any business whatsoever making any comments about a topic about which you know absolutely less than dick about fuck. That's very annoying.
Face IQ's original response was that he kept saying throughout the entire video that prehistoric human species that lived before the appearance of Homo sapiens were not human beings. Every time I talked about a human ancestor, he'd say that's not a human. Let's begin.
He'd be right, because that's a fact, Kevin. That's the thing about facts. Even if you don't like them, they're still facts.
With number 10. Number 10 is the fact that plants have been a major part of the diet of humans throughout their entire existence at every...
That's false, Kevin. I've dealt with that in my response to this video that you made several weeks ago that you haven't responded to my challenge to come and debate me about. Remember? No, human beings have eaten almost nothing but the flesh and fat of animals throughout our entire existence as a species on this planet, which is about 350,000 years. The only time that we haven't done that is about the last 11 or 12,000 years, depending on what geographical region, etc., that you're talking about, actually. So, there we go.
Time period and at every location they've ever been.
Is this supposed to be a human or?
Yes, it is. That is an illustration.
Yep, I will admit I was kind of not confusing because I obviously understand that hominids are still humans and such. I was referring though to Homo sapiens sapiens, our
Correct, yes. We all got that except for Kevin, who's too stupid.
current speciation. I don't really think anyone should care about anything else but our current.
God, no, don't be rating my face. If you want to rate something on me, I'll tell you what, I'll drop my tray, I'll turn around and spread my cheeks and you can rate that.
Current species and what our current species eats
Of a human.
in terms of relating to what our current species should eat.
So Face IQ fortunately concedes in the live stream that he was wrong about the definition of a human, and he clarifies that he meant Homo sapiens. So,
Which everybody understood, Kevin, except you, because you're too fucking stupid to understand that the context that we're talking about is modern-day humans, Homo sapiens sapiens. And our diet for our entire existence on this planet has been almost entirely nothing but the flesh and fat of animals, as established unequivocally by the stable isotope trophic level nitrogen testing Kevin.
good.
Actual science.
That's one semantic problem he clears up at the beginning, and props to him for doing so, because we are living in the era where people would rather literally die than admit they're wrong about anything. So this did
Literally die, as opposed to just dying, because the word literally there literally adds literally nothing, doesn't it, Kevin? Literally. As does the word like from that silly little girl I responded to last week. What's the name? Anti-scientific snatch or something.
take some guts from Face IQ, so no big deal. He meant specifically Homo sapiens, and I appreciate the clarification.
So do we need to spend quite this amount of time on this particular point? Can we move on to something that's actually worthwhile hearing? Oh, that's right. We won't be hearing anything that's worthwhile hearing from Kevin, will we?
We
But we will
live
be seeing some
in
ads because,
strange
well, you know why.
times.
Bung, bung, bung,
But
bung.
he makes it clear that he is only interested in the diet of Homo sapiens, and the fact that the early hominid species ate plants doesn't matter to him. So fine, we can ignore the parts of my video that pertain to the diet of humans that lived before Homo sapiens.
Right, well, of course we can, because we're fucking not them, are we, Kevin? We are Homo sapiens sapiens. Ergo, the thing that's relevant to us, particularly, is that. In the same way that studies on mices, mices, and mouses, or ratus ratus, are not going to be particularly cut and pastable to the prospects of a human being in any way, are they? Even though we have some similar biological systems, reductionist and all of that, yes. It's about the entirety of the degrees of freedom that make up the fact that, you know, nobody with half a brain cell would mistake a rat for a human being, would they?
So the other big semantic issue we both spend probably way too much time in both of our videos on was the proper definition of what a carnivore is.
Yes, exactly. A carnivore is any animal that eats any amount of the flesh of any other animal, at all, in fact. Therefore, there are people that like to arbitrarily set sort of different sorts of carnivores. Up to and including hypercarnivore, which has arbitrarily been set by the scientific community at large as being any animal that derives 70%, so-called, of their so-called heat units in the form of animal-based products, foods.
What I was trying to point out in my video was that the emotionally charged term hypercarnivore really doesn't...
See, emotionally charged is an opinion, Kevin. Remember what we said about opinions? And remember in particular what we said about your opinions being chock full of shit up to the gunwales? Yeah.
mean what it sounds like it means. Carnivore dieters like to
I
claim
don't think this word is meaning what you think it is meaning. Inconceivable.
that based on the stable isotope data, humans weren't just carnivores, they were hypercarnivores.
Yeah, no, hypercarnivores is not an emotionally charged word, Kevin. It's an arbitrary term used to describe something we could equally describe quite well with a number, i.e. more than 70% of the so-called units of so-called heat energy in the form of foods derived from another animal, i.e. the flesh and fat of another animal, and not plants. Good.
This is completely misleading without the proper context, though. It gives people the impression that humans are carnivores in the same sense that a lion or crocodile would be.
Well, yeah, because we're both animals that consume any amount of the flesh of other animals, Kevin.
Carnivore YouTubers aren't...
And in fact, the trophic level of a human being, Kevin, is above that of a lion, you stupid, ignorant fuck splat. Isn't it? Look at the fucking isotope data. Right? So, but no, we're not lions. I covered that last week. When apparently Katz, isn't that ironic? Dr. Katz was telling us that we're not lions on the Simon Hill podcast called something like Anything But the Truth or something like that. Yeah. And in fact, there was actually no reference by Katz to lions, even though the title was all about how we're not lions. Remember that? That was hilarious, wasn't it?
line are taking this definition completely out of context.
Says who? According to whom, on the basis of what, Kevin? Who are you to decide what the context should be? And on the basis of what? Boy.
So they're being misleading to their viewers when they say that humans were...
In your opinion. And you're wrong. Because, again, the trophic level of a human being is above that of a lion. So your analogy saying, well, but we aren't lions though, bro, is... well, vacuous, isn't it? Just like you, Kevin. You mindless cunt.
hypercarnivores. This hypercarnivore terminology comes from a paper written in the 1980s that classified predators according to how much of their diet consisted of meat.
There you go. Well, not meat. Meat and fat, Kevin.
Predators like bears, raccoons, and foxes, as well as some ape species, are actually omnivores. But
no, they're not. Well, you can say they are based on the behaviour that they've adopted, fallaciously. There it is, my favourite word, fallacious. Well, some people think my favourite word is fuck. But no, it's fallacious. Anyway, what's your point, Kevin, besides no point? Welcome to Oaktown Girl being a new member. We like it. We like it a lot. No, I'm not against raw meat. That's correct. I'm also not for it. Yes. Yes. Good. Yes, it is great to see you here, Face IQ. It would be even greater to see you on the channel doing a collaborative video with yours truly. And Ted, if we can ever find my emotional support bear Ted, He has not been seen at the camouflaged training today. Can't believe it. And I have to twiddle the knobs myself. It's unbelievable. I have to twiddle my own knobs. Anyway, Kevin, what point are you trying to make here?
They eat different proportions of meat versus plants. So the terms hypercarnivore, mesocarnivore, and hypocarnivore were invented to classify the behaviors of these animals.
That's right, because a carnivore still is any animal that eats any amount of meat whatsoever,
according to how much meat they eat. But this is just a behavioral classification, and it's different from the physiological classifications of carnivore.
All right, so tell us about your expertise in physiology, Kevin. Oh, fuck me. Are you serious? He is. That's the problem. He really thinks he has a clue. Wow.
Versus omnivores versus herbivores. So
the word is herbivores, Kevin. There's an H on the front of it, in case you didn't notice. Herbivore. I know Americans like to think that they can invent English themselves. No, and call it American English. No, it's ours. English. The title, the giveaway's in the title of it. English. We invented the language. I'm saying we. I'm actually a British subject, not an English person myself. But no, you Americans didn't. You Americans, of course, come from the same stock as us, English, or English subjects, but you decided in 1700 and something to be somebody else. However, you didn't actually change the language enough to say that it's your own language. No, there's an H on the front of it, it should be pronounced. The same goes for you in the Northern English, where most of the people that went to America came from. That's where this whole American habit of dropping the H comes from. It's because the Northern English drop their H's too in certain areas. They shouldn't do it either. The H is there for a reason, it should be pronounced. That's just my opinion, Kevin.
There is a big difference between a behavioral carnivore and a true obligate physiological carnivore like a lion or a crocodile.
Right, well, we are an obligate carnivore, Kevin.
That cannot derive macronutrients from plant-based sources.
That's right, like human can't. That's why 84% of people that attempt a diet which is devoid of animal products quit within 5 years, and 90% of those people provide the reasoning for so doing as catastrophic health failure of some kind. Basically because a diet based entirely in plants, Kevin, is devoid of no less than 13 essential nutrients, whereas the carnivore diet is devoid of no nutrients required by a human being at the levels required by a human being, actually. That's what the science actually tells us when you look at the actual science, Kevin. And the anecdotes that would back that up also support that, whereas what you're backing up, what you have to say with, is your untrained, ignorant, destitute fucking opinion, son.
True carnivores literally need animal...
Literally. There you go. Well, if you say literally, that makes what you're about to say much more convincing, doesn't it, Kevin? No.
Protein, or they will starve to death because they cannot derive energy from plants the way humans...
Well, hang on, what are you talking about? Protein or energy, son? Which is it? I think you better get, if you are going to front up to me for a debate, sunshine, I think you better get your thoughts straight and in order before you do so. Otherwise, it's just going to be too easy for me to tear those 7 new arseholes for you, that I will tear anyway. But you're going to have to, I think, put in some homework first to make sure you know what it is you're talking about before you get there.
Other true omnivorous animals can. So, Face IQ is right that this is just a semantics discussion, but it's still important to bring up anyways, because carnivore dieters are the ones who like to claim that ancient humans weren't just carnivores, they were hyper-carnivores.
Well, that's because that's a fact, Kevin, based on this classification of levels of carnivory that was put in place, as you say, some time ago, suggesting more than 70% of the heat units in the form of animal products would determine that that species is, by behaviour, a hypercarnivore. We were, for something like 340,000 years, give or take. As such, those were the positive and negative selection pressures that were at play on the human genetic line, our organ systems, our biological systems, our pathways, etc. And as such, that is what we are, whether you like that or whether you don't. You ignorant fucking child.
Which sounds much more impressive than it really is. 30% of your diet could come from plants, and you'd still be labeled as a hypercarnivore.
That's right, that's what 70% means, Kevin. I'm glad you can at least work out the difference between 100 and 70. Good lad, well done.
According to this classification scheme, but that's a far cry from eating nearly 100% meat like a true obligate carnivore like a lion or crocodile would.
Oh my God. Is it possible to be as stupid as this boy is? in reality? Is this an act, this stupidity? I wonder if Kevin also thinks that he's attractive in some way. I'm a pretty good judge of what an attractive male is. And I don't just mean physically, although that is a part of it. This boy is repellent and repugnant, it seems, in every regard. Just my opinion again, but there we go.
In fact, after a lot of back and forth, Face IQ sort of concedes the point that humans are omnivores, but then he says,
by behaviour, which we've chosen, a lot of us, fallaciously and erroneously, it was the second worst thing we ever did, nutrition-wise, as a species, was to add any significant amount of plants in about 12,000 years ago. Really, really not a good idea.
it doesn't matter because the optimal diet is still a heavily meat-based diet.
Uh-huh.
I'm not interested in that, honestly. So I would even concede this, and you can call a human an omnivore if you think they are. The point is we are meat dominant, very meat dominant. Meat is what is providing our essential nutrition, not apples.
But Face IQ still can't seem to make up his mind about this. It's like he really wants to make the case that humans are true carnivores, but he doesn't have the data to qualify that claim.
Well, we are, because a carnivore, Kevin, still is any animal that consumes any amount of the flesh of any other animal at all. Okay? Fuckhead.
He says that we have retained some ability to digest plants from our evolutionary past when
And he is correct in that, because we have.
human ancestors had a more herbivorous diet. For example, he says the reason that humans still have the salivary amylase enzymes is because we used to eat plants and there was no evolutionary pressures for humans to lose these enzymes once
Which is also correct, Kevin. What's your point?
they started eating meat.
There was no evolutionary pressure to make us.
Why did you just say that that's what Face IQ said if you were just going to play him saying that? We can hear him say it, and he is correct, still. Absolutely correct. There is no negative selection pressure that would cause us to knock out the gene to produce salivary amylase. Still.
Lose our salivary amylase enzyme. There was no pressure that would say it's detrimental to be able to use starches or fruit as fuel.
Unlike vitamin C, that's why that gene is knocked out, Kevin. Okay? I bet you didn't think of that.
Obviously. Doesn't mean it's ideal for us or optimal.
This is the story of the award-winning, chef-approved, sold-out 30 times, always Pam.
Oh, well,
But then he claims that
that's a great story. I think there should have been more emphasis on the dragons.
we really can't properly eat plants because we have a relatively small cecum, even though there are other omnivorous animals that also have small cecums like pigs, and there are even some omnivores that have no cecum at all, like bears. So this is hardly a valid point.
Okay, but are there other differences in the digestive tracts and systems of those animals, meaning that they are more able to derive some nutrient from plants than what a human being is? Well, yes, Kevin, there are. So your point falls flat on its face again, and it's basically a ridiculous, flaccid, facile straw man from a fucking imbecile. That's what that is. What's next?
In the end, though, he concedes that our ability to eat plants was actually a survival advantage, even if in his own mind, a red meat-only diet is still the ideal diet.
Correct. He is correct again, Kevin. What's your point?
Yes, we are more adapted to be able to use more fuel sources than other carnivores simply due to our evolution, our past. We have evolutionary pressures that shaped us so we would remain being able to eat fruits and starches and such. That does not mean those are optimal. It's just an evolutionary advantage to have more fuel sources, as he agreed on.
But the thing is, these omnivorous traits are not just some leftover vestigial remnants of our ancient evolutionary past.
What are you going to back that up with, Kevin? Because they fucking are.
They're still in active use today.
Jesus Christ. Do you think that makes any difference to the fact that that's what they are? Is your appendix in use today? Yes, it is. Your vestigial cecum? Yes, it is in use. It does have a role still in the body. It's largely immune. It's nothing to do with the absorption of nutrients. Does that mean it's not a vestigial organ? It still is, Kevin. Mindless cunt.
Humans still produce the salivary amylase enzymes because we still benefit from eating starches. Despite Face IQ...
No, we don't benefit from eating starches. No, we don't. Kevin, what are you going to base that on? There are no studies showing benefit of eating starch.
Conceding that humans are indeed omnivores, he still tries to blur
By behaviour, that's different from what we are biologically. Still,
the distinction between true carnivores and omnivores
we
by
are true carnivores because a carnivore, Kevin, is still any animal that eats any amount of the flesh of any other animal whatsoever. Still. Fucking idiot.
claiming that even true carnivores like lions can survive on a plant-based.
Field Marshal Dave of the Meat Militia. Goodness gracious. You are late. I think you need to report to Ted. If you can find him after class, I think you should come back to Pimbasia and find Ted. We should play. It's like a game of Where's Waldo or Where's Wally, depending on where you come from in the world. Find Ted. Where's Ted? Ted has not been seen at the camouflage training. Yes. Benefit from starch, says Kevin. Good work, son.
Diet. His only evidence for this is an anecdotal report.
Hang on a minute, Sunshine. You're going to talk about evidence. How much evidence have we seen from you on any front of anything? So not only are you vacuous, stupid, destitute of a clue, and as arrogant as fuck, you're also a fucking hypocrite and a coward. Because remember how I said to you, you should come and have a debate with me? Remember that? Yeah. Anytime you like, Sunshine, twice on Sundays.
A lion named Little Tyke, who supposedly lived for 9 years on a vegetarian diet.
And in fact, there's actually a vegetarian lion that lived 10 years, which I think will be a point that we'll come back to Bite Hair Cafe here.
What kind of quality of life did that lion have, though? Jesus.
Big distinction here is that carnivores will starve to death if they don't have meat. Omnivores won't.
Like, false. Let's listen to that again.
Is that carnivores will starve to death if they don't have meat. Omnivores won't.
Right? Well, human beings do slowly starve to death if they don't eat meat. That's why 84% of people that tried to eliminate meat from their diet quit within 5 years, citing catastrophic health failure as their reason for so doing. Ellen, welcome to the Meat Militia. Ted Hop! Report to Ted for congratulations after class, if you can find him. Yep. I fear that we already depleted our fish reserves by unsustainable harvesting. You're quite right. Now some rich guys keep telling me I will soon have to eat the bugs. No, we will not be eating the bugs. No. Face IQ, you need a tap Bart into LM if you collab. What's LM? I'd like to see Bart's insults to expand into LM terms. What the fuck is LM? Right, don't use acronyms, TLAs. They're a PITA, FFS. Right. Speak English, for fuck's sake. English, where we pronounce the H's. All right? Okay. Please add subtitles to this stream. No. There's a good reason for that. Let's carry on.
Alright, so he's just flat out wrong here, and I'll show you an example actually. Here we have something very interesting. Here we have Little Tyke, the vegetarian lion.
Oh, look at that.
This lion did not eat any meat for 10 years. And he lived 10 years, about half of what he should have lived, which is what's going to happen to you if you go plant-based or vegan typically, especially vegan. You'll probably live about half as long as you should have. This is the vegetarian lion. I'm not going to go through the entire article, but yep, lived 10 years, no meat. Let's listen to that again.
Consumption. The big distinction here is that carnivores will starve to death if they don't have meat.
Yeah, so, yes, they will, but it takes a while, Kevin. Something that you don't seem to have grasped for some reason. Just like common sense, an accurate view of your place in the hierarchy of the understanding of complex issues like human nutrition, human metabolism, that kind of stuff, or indeed common sense.
Done. Unequivocally false.
Yep, correct. Well done.
Done.
Well done, Face IQ.
So just due to the natural world we live in, yes, every organism on planet Earth is going to consume both plants and animals to a certain extent, but that misses the point. A carnivorous animal like
really? How much plants does a hagfish eat? None at all.
A shark will starve to death if there's no meat in its diet. An herbivorous animal like an elephant.
Well, if you consider a lion carnivorous, again, we have an example of a vegetarian lion without meat.
But we're all wrong, you see, because we can't possibly be carnivores. We lack the sharp, pointy teeth like this. That's about the level of this discussion, and no better.
That lived 9 years.
Something's not right down on the farm.
That's right, it isn't.
These aren't the rolling green hills you're used to seeing.
No, they're not. For those that don't know, these days I'm trying to be a farmer. Been trying that for about a year, and we've come up against, well, not everything, but floods, pestilence, health issues for the animals caused by the flooding and lack of a few things like some nutrients that were washed away. Problems with contractors, left, right and centre, not doing what they're supposed to. Horde of locusts we haven't had. No, we haven't had a horde of locusts. And touch wood, let's hope that that continues to be the case. Although we're not trying to grow plants here, we're growing animals. We have sheeps, goats, cows, chickens, and ducks. They're the producing animals. We have a couple of dogs that don't produce anything, including anything fucking useful at all. And we have an emotional support bear who runs the show but actually doesn't do a damn thing and doesn't even show up for class. It's incredible. And there's me and Pim. Basically, we're the ones that do most of the stuff around here. We do have some staff, but you know. Anyway, that's for another day. Do you eat raw meat? No, I don't personally.
Okay. There you are.
Though we'll starve to death.
Just patently false.
That's right. So just ridiculous, nonsensical, illogical thought patterns from Kevin, pointed to quite aptly and quite accurately and correctly by Face IQ. Well done.
Blatantly. Yeah, there you are.
Face IQ seems to think this one anecdote.
Any advice for wannabe farmers? Yeah, maybe just don't. Be a farmer, they said. It'll be great. And to be fair, actually, there are aspects of the lifestyle that I have enjoyed much more than any other job I've had, and aspects of living here on a moderately sized farm property that are, you know, better than living in any city and any postage stamp sized plot of land with a house on it, sure. But it comes with its own whole list of issues, problems, etc. that we didn't really even think about or think could possibly occur. Like 2 times 200-year floods separated by 2 weeks. Contractors that want to rip you off and not do what they're supposed to do and not make it right and force us to have to probably take them to court and stuff. Systems falling to bits because the people that own the property before us, well, Mickey Mouse is fuck in terms of the systems that are in play, like fencing and stuff. Yeah, anyway, that's for another day. Being a farmer is great if it was not under massive tyrannical issues. Well, there's that too. The tyrannical issues aren't much fun either. That's also for another day. You know the floods are not natural. Oh, shut up. For goodness sake, grow a brain cell. Right, what's next?
About Little Tyke, the adorable vegetarian lion disproves my claims that true carnivorous animals cannot survive without eating meat.
That's right, they can't. At a certain level, for a certain period of time, depending on that particular speciation's reliance upon meat, which is variable based on how much meat they actually do eat naturally. Okay, it's called positive and negative selection pressures. The genes and organ systems mold themselves to the behaviour exerted by that animal over deep time. This is a known thing. It's called evolution, and whether you believe in it or not, it's still a thing and it still does occur. It still can be observed to occur in species that live shorter periods of time than human beings do, and indeed it can be observed in human beings. I'll show it to you right here. Evolution, is it a thing in human beings? Well, here we go. Think about your gene set. Is your gene set identical to that of your mother or to that of your father, biologically? No, it isn't. It's a mixture of the two. There's evolution for you, right there. Get fucked. That doesn't preclude the existence of a higher power or a deity of some kind. Nobody knows. What we do know, though, is evolution is a thing, and it might be the design of that deity, should that deity be in existence. Okay? They're not mutually exclusive, you fucking mindless idiots. What's next?
So he thinks this is checkmate, but it's not. So, this story of Little Tyke the lion is very old. It's from the 1940s.
So fucking what?
So, supposedly, this baby lion named Tyke was born in a zoo and refused to eat any meat. It was adopted by a human family, and the lion lived for 9 years eating grains, eggs, and milk.
Ah, eggs. And milk. Okay. That's interesting, isn't it?
However, there is great reason to be highly skeptical of this story.
And any other story. Especially when they don't put remotely enough emphasis on the dragons, too much emphasis on incest, and kill off all the best characters right at the beginning, and then fail to conclude the thing with any kind of decent ending. That was fucking embarrassing, wasn't it? Not to mention infuriating. Just like listening to you, Kevin.
First of all, even if Little Tyke's diet included some animal products like milk and eggs, her diet would still be deficient in taurine. This is very important because humans can synthesize their own taurine. But
That's right, we can. That doesn't mean we're not carnivores though, Kevin, you stupid, mindless cunt.
lions cannot, and taurine deficiency causes blindness and cardiomyopathy in felines. So even if
Tell you what else causes blindness, myopathy, and cancer? Listening to you, Kevin. That's just my opinion. Doesn't have to be anybody else's.
Little Tyke survived on this diet, she would have been very sick on it. As it turns out, Little Tyke the lion tragically died of pneumonia, most likely due to malnutrition at the age of 9.
Right, malnutrition, Kevin. Because a lion biologically shouldn't eat the diet as described there.
Which is far shorter than the average lifespan of a
We've already covered this. What is your point? Because you're not actually refuting anything that Face IQ had to say.
lion in captivity, which ranges from 15 to 20 years of age. Little Tyke was never examined by any independent veterinarians in order to truly assess her
How
health.
do you know? Were you there? Son? You're not old enough to have been there. So how about you keep your mindless fucking opinion to yourself?
Or her diet. We only have the word of her owner that she ate no meat, and her owner published a book about Tyke and
Owner? Ah, owner. $10 from Jacob Muller. Thank you very much, Jacob, for the $10. No comment, but Ted will take the money nonetheless, even though he didn't bother to show up today. It's quite unbelievable, isn't it? Can't get the help, boys and girls. If you'd like to help around Pimbatia, you certainly can. Well, so long as you don't have two heads, or if you do, those two heads need to be agreeable with all of our heads and each other. Okay? You can come here, you can help out, and we'll put you up, and it'll be a great holiday. We'll laugh, we'll sing songs, even though that's specifically disallowed by Pimbatian law, according to the edict of Her Majesty Pim, Queen of Pirates, first of her name, mother of puppies, mother of ducks and chickens, the unpoked, the terminally impatient, and all her other titles that I forgot.
claimed that the existence of Tyke was some kind of biblical miracle. Of course, you only can claim something is a miracle if it goes against accepted science, which is the fact that lions can't live.
All right, so accepted science is somehow an inviolate canon, is it? Because accepted science, Kevin, has been wrong time and time and time again on a number of issues. Because accepted science has its limitations, which I think you're yet to actually grasp. Which is no surprise because you have no training in science whatsoever. Ergo, what you should probably do regarding science, Kevin, is shut your fucking ignorant mouth. Yeah? Okay.
Without eating meat. So, given the attention and profitability of this particular lion, it is very possible that this was a complete hoax. It wouldn't be the first time someone perpetuated a hoax
Oh God, this boy is boring as fuck, isn't he?
for fame and fortune. Religious groups have used the story to claim that Little Tyke was a fulfillment of a biblical
Who gives two rip-roaring fucks about that? What is your point?
prophecy. Specifically, the verses
Besides no point. You are an absolute pointless waste of skin.
in the Bible that
And hair.
describe a future
And oxygen.
where the wolf and the lamb and the lion and the calf will coexist peacefully. In fact, most of the information about Little Tyke can be found on religious and creative
Yes, that's exactly the point though, isn't it? That point. That mostly Kevin is focused on selling people the idea that they need to take toxins to make their hair grow. In a completely anti-scientific and misogynist fashion. Misanthropist fashion. Why did I say misogynist? I don't know. Sometimes The mouth says things that the brain didn't mean. And sometimes it really did mean it, you fucking mindless cunt, Kevin. That I meant.
Creationist websites like creation.com. So this story was never confirmed by any scientist and probably falls into the...
Kevin, you wouldn't know what a scientist was if they jiggled on your face. Son, you wouldn't know science if it rogered you roughly, sideways.
same category as most UFO and Bigfoot sightings. It certainly does not disprove...
What did that image there prove? What did that add to your video in any way? An image of a fat man in a hat. What's your point?
The known biological fact that a lion would starve to death in the wild without eating meat.
In the wild. Tell you what, put a human being out there in the wild and see how long they last. One that's not trained in outdoor survival. Tell them they shouldn't eat any meat at all. Which, if they're not trained in outdoor survival, they won't be able to get hold of any anyway, probably. No? Okay.
Humans, on the other hand, will never starve to death if they eat enough plants. It's
false. 84% within 5 years, and 90% of those people citing catastrophic health failure as the reason for quitting that diet, Kevin. Still. Fucking idiot.
possible they could develop other health problems if they don't
Like death. Yep.
supplement the vitamins found.
How about that one recently, that stupid woman who ate nothing but fruit for a number of years and died? How about that, Kevin? Did she eat enough plants? How much is enough plants to eat to stop you from dying, even though you will die if you don't eat enough meat? At some point. You will die anyway. Of course, everyone does. But it will take a lot longer if you eat a species-appropriate, species-specific diet to get to the point where you're going to die, all else being equal. Still. Because, Kevin, we are obligate hyper-carnivores. Still.
Exclusively in meat, like vitamin B12 for instance, but they will never die of starvation like true carnivores would because humans are omnivores, not...
No, we're not. Not biologically. By behaviour, yes, mostly. But that's erroneous and fallacious still. It's a mistake.
Carnivores. They can get energy from both plants and animal products. So
that doesn't mean that we are omnivores, except by behaviour, which, as I've already said, is not the right approach for a human being to take. Because we evolved in a niche just like every other animal, and our niche was hyper-carnivore. See how I said that without any emotional inflection whatsoever? Yeah, it's clown world, DC, still. We are living in clown world. Clown world, roly-poly clown world. It's incredible, isn't it? And the other thing that's incredible, Kevin, is you, by which I mean singularly lacking in any credibility whatsoever. None at all.
The story about Little Tyke the Lion is cute, but it doesn't...
Can we move on, for goodness sake? Do you have anything to say of any value whatsoever on this topic or anything else, Kevin?
disprove what we know about the biology of carnivores, not by a long shot. So, the next big point...
You don't know anything about the biology of anything, Kevin. You're in no position to be professing about biology. You are an untrained, ignorant, stupid, mindless fucksplat.
The contention here in the video is the stable isotope data that supposedly shows that humans in Northern Europe ate a lot of meat during the...
It's not just Northern Europe, it's globally wherever the bones of human beings have been discovered, ancient human bones, and tested for their stable isotope makeup. It's a global thing, Kevin. It's a fact, still. It's hard science.
Last ice age that ended about 12,000 years ago. In my video, I made the case that the stable isotope data that Face IQ venerates overestimates the amount of meat that ancient humans actually ate.
And how do you back that up, Kevin? How is it that you know more about stable isotope testing and its interpretation than the scientists, the trained scientist with multiple degrees and experience in research, etc.? How is it possible that you know more about it than they do? The only thing that exceeds your arrogance, Kevin, is your repulsive personality and appearance, it seems. That's just my opinion.
Because of the presence of maggots in the rotting meat that they ate. Primitive humans would often eat the remains of animals killed by other predators because they were scavengers. And so...
Are maggots meat? Are maggots made of protein, Kevin? Yes, they are. Shut the fuck up, you mindless cunt.
They would eat what was essentially carrion meat. That sounds really gross.
Nobody's arguing that that's the case. They did. At first, until we developed hunting skills of our own as a species, yes, obviously. So what?
But humans are actually naturally scavengers who often ate carrion meat
No, they
killed
were at the beginning, and we've developed since then. Haven't we? Many things have developed, except Kevin.
by other animals. And this isn't a vestigial trait. Even many modern cultures like the Inuits will regularly eat and enjoy rotting meat. It's even considered a delicacy by them.
So what?
There are also several African cultures that traditionally eat rotten meat.
So fucking what? What is your point, Kevin? Still.
Humans are unique as they're the only animal that will store meat for later consumption.
No, that's not true either. Absolutely false. Again, Kevin.
Ancient humans had no problem eating rotten meat, just like many cultures do today. The
So fucking what? Still.
latest stable isotope data shows that humans ate less meat during the Ice Age than earlier studies indicated. The new data shows that rotting meat by itself is already much higher in stable isotopes than fresh meat. So, eating rotten meat falsely elevates the stable isotope levels. However, the presence of maggots drives the stable isotope ratios up even higher. In fact, 8 times higher than what's seen in just regular rotting meat.
No, Kevin. Just false. And even if it was correct, which it isn't, actually, when you look at the totality of what's been published and understood in this field, is a maggot not meat? Are they not made of protein? Yes, they are. Okay? We're done.
Several times,
The isotope testing establishes how much of the protein came from animal sources and how much came from plant sources. A maggot is an animal. You should know. Many of them you are closely related to, Kevin.
throughout this video, Face IQ states very confidently that maggots have the same stable isotope ratio as terrestrial animals, but that's just
Even higher, in fact. Humans are about the highest trophic level on the list, it seems. Higher than a lion.
not correct in the slightest. There is new research showing that the stable isotope data overestimates the amount of meat that was eaten
Cite it then, Kevin.
by ancient
Cite it, and I'll tell you what's wrong with it.
humans. That's
Let's see his reasoning for that.
because it's been shown that the maggots found in rotten meat, which is what are
Okay, so he's just repeating himself. In what he's just said, he knew damn well he was going to play a clip of him saying the same stupid thing previously. What was the point of that, Kevin? Why waste our time? We could deal with it this time, and we'll deal with it the same way. A maggot's an animal. Okay? It has no impact whatsoever. You have no point. This is a ridiculous straw man. Maggots are animals. We're done with that.
called apex predator ancestors mostly ate, massively increased the amount of stable isotopes in their bones. This is because
Yeah, his maggot theory has a few issues, which we'll let him finish his point and I'll debunk it.
maggots contain a much higher nitrogen stable isotope ratio than terrestrial animals. So this makes it look like we were
That's false, by the way. Actually,
Yep, correct. It is false.
it's very, very similar to herbivores. Interesting. I didn't catch that flaw the first time.
eating a lot more meat than we really were.
Also, maggots are also animal food, by
There you go, see? Simple as that. Right, we're done.
the way, Hair Cafe. Just saying.
The new data shows that rotting meat has increased stable isotope ratios, largely because of the presence
Yes,
of
yes, we've already heard all of this. We've dealt with it. It's done. A maggot's an animal still.
maggots in the meat, since the
It's actually extremely close to herbivorous meat. False.
So, based on this new data, archaeologists have concluded that early humans and
Which archaeologists, Kevin? Archaeologists have concluded. Which ones? Cite them.
Neanderthals did not eat as much meat as what was previously thought. They were not hypercarnivores
So
or
maggots are not meat. Okay, good, Kevin. You're a fucking mindless cunt, aren't you? You really are a stupid fucking waste of time.
uber carnivores.
Maybe I should withdraw my invitation for you to come and debate me because you just simply don't have the gear. You've got no business making any public commentary whatsoever about science. You're just an idiot. You're a mindless, ignorant, arrogant little boy. A repulsive little boy.
So Face IQ backs up his claim by saying that humans had higher stable isotope ratios than lions or wolves.
Oh my God, we do.
If the ratios are indeed higher than obligate carnivores like lions and wolves,
Which they are.
then that is more evidence the ratios are being falsely augmented.
No, it isn't. It's evidence that you are wrong, Kevin. Can't you see that? Oh my God, this boy is so stupid, it's painful. You could literally get cancer from listening to this boy.
Because just think about this. Use some damn common sense.
Projection there, kiddies. Use some damned common sense. Good.
How could humans possibly eat more meat than lions or wolves?
By doing so. There we go.
These animals eat their meat freshly killed. And
What the fuck has that got to do with the price of fish in China in 1965? Or any fucking thing else that has any leverage whatsoever on this particular moot point? Ted must be here somewhere because my coffee cup is empty. Ted's drunk my coffee. If you're going to drink my coffee, Ted, at least show up for the boys and girls, and for goodness sake, twiddle the knobs, because they need twiddling, don't they? If you have skills in knob twiddling and you'd like to come and twiddle the knobs in Pimbatia, send me an email. Our knobs will be thrilled.
so they don't consume a lot of rotting meat with maggots. So
Oh, shut up, you fucking mindless cunt. You stupid, arrogant, ignorant cunt. Shut the fuck up. Or make a point that's worth hearing.
it's very clear here that the diet of ancient humans falsely increased the stable isotope levels, and these levels can't be relied
Oh, you mindless idiot. You absolute dickwad.
upon to estimate how much meat these humans were actually eating. Face
Okay, there you
IQ
go. Maggots are not meat. Okay. Fuck off, idiot.
then tries to back up what he claims about the stable isotope data by bringing up other isotope data like the zinc isotope data from tooth enamel and also data from carbon-13 analysis. No, there isn't that much data. We know this because collagen deteriorates completely after 50,000 years. So
No, it doesn't, Kevin. Wrong again. That's why we have stable isotope testing from collagen found in bones that have been shown to be well over 110,000 years old. Okay, so wrong again, buffhead.
Good thing we have enamel,
the research cannot go back any
which shows the same thing. Let's see if I can pull that up as well.
Who's ready to hatch some cool pets?
Oh, me!
Click here to make your very
No,
own.
I hate being told what to do.
Oh yeah, zinc isotopes, here we are. These don't degrade the same way as collagen, so we'll take a look at this. And again, this shows carnivore level trophic position once again. It's just the fact he's trying to
Why don't you pay attention, Wellness Wisdom? Because then you'd know why the debate between Kevin and I is not happening. Okay? And if you missed that because you got here late, maybe get here on time. How about that?
claim like the humans were not severely meat based, if not just purely carnivore, is it's such a cope, like it just doesn't hold up with anything. Thank you. Also, we can still see what type of meat we're eating with the carbon-13 data, and that was herbivorous meat.
So first he claims that the zinc isotope studies prove that prehistoric Homo sapiens were carnivores, and he looks up a study, but he doesn't actually show the study on screen.
So again with the projection, again with the hypocrisy. What have you produced by way of evidence of anything, Kevin? What you've done is given us your ignorant opinion.
And I can think of a pretty good reason why, and that's because the data shows the exact opposite of what he's actually saying.
Okay, well, why don't you prove it to us?
First of all, it is true that zinc isotopes can help distinguish between the diet of a carnivore, an omnivore, and an herbivore, as you can see in
The word is still herbivore.
this chart. But in reality, the zinc isotope studies that have been done show that ancient humans were actually omnivores.
No, it doesn't show anything of the sort, Kevin. Because the stable isotope testing of nitrogen proves absolutely what the source of protein taken in by people was, as that regards animal versus plant-based protein. The zinc thing is an aside, and it's not anything like the level of surety of the nitrogen stuff, which is an absolute slam dunk. Still.
Here's a study on ancient humans in Laos where the zinc isotope data confirmed that the diet was omnivorous and these were actual Homo sapiens.
What sample size? And what do you mean by ancient? And how do you define omnivorous? Because you could define hypercarnivory as also omnivory if there's any plant material being taken in at all, couldn't you? This is arbitrary. Proves nothing. You're an idiot.
Sapiens we're talking about here who are living between 40 and 60,000.
And again, you're talking about, you have not actually provided a citation. Splashing the top of the paper on the screen for a few seconds and then taking it down is not citing anything. And actually, just saying, one sentence out of context of the whole paper doesn't prove anything either. If you want to bring research to the table, Kevin, you have to be prepared to sit down and litigate every single piece of research you bring over half an hour or more for each paper, however many of those you want to bring forward, no matter how long it takes, because they're all flawed in some way or another, to some level or another. Aren't they? Yes. What's next?
Years ago, these weren't ancient hominids. A similar study was done on late Stone Age hunter-gatherers living about 15,000 years ago, so even more recent. To quote the study, quote, "Our results unequivocally demonstrate a..."
See, the thing is, a scientist wouldn't say that. Because if there was unequivocal proof of something in the empirical data set in a paper, then other scientists can read those empirical data points and go, geez, that's unequivocal for themselves. They don't need to be told it's unequivocal. Do you see how that there is an absolute red flag? Who funded this study, Kevin? This one, that you've got this sentence out of its context there up on the screen at the moment. That'd be interesting to find out. And is 30% a substantial plant protein? Because hypercarnivores are 70% upwards, aren't they? It turns out the human nitrogen data suggests more like 80% in human beings over the long, deep time. Okay? Simple as that.
Substantial plant-based component in the diets of these hunter-gatherers, unquote. So, I guess
So, a sentence out of a paper that you haven't adequately cited or defended or litigated with anybody competent to do so proves your point absolutely, because it says it's unequivocal itself, which a scientist, any self-respecting scientist would never write that. Because a self-respecting scientist understands that science is litigated empirically and not with words, not with value judgment statements. Still.
IQ is forgetting what the gatherer part of hunter-gatherer refers to. Also, he brings up the carbon-13 data.
Again, that's a straw man. Did Face IQ ever at any stage suggest that humans have never eaten any plant material for any period of time? No, he didn't.
He fails to mention that carbon-13 analysis can't determine how much of the isotope came from plants versus animals who eat plants. So it is completely useless in trying to determine how much...
Yes, carbon testing is used to establish the age of a sample.
...of the diet came from plants versus animals. So carbon-13 isn't a reliable metric to determine...
Yes, but nitrogen testing is, Kevin, still.
...what our diets looked like in ancient
Yes, but still, nitrogen testing is. So your point is still completely vacuous.
...times. All this research debunks the idea that humans were hyper-carnivores.
No, it doesn't, Kevin. You haven't debunked a damn thing. You've given us your opinion, or indeed, actually, you've given us the opinions written by authors about data sets without showing us any of those data sets upon which we could form our own opinions. That's not science, sunshine, and that's not proving anything. What you're doing is indulging in appeal to consensus fallacy. Still.
Even during the Ice Age in Northern Europe, there is no good evidence that humans met the criteria of being hyper-carnivores.
Yes, there is. It's called nitrogen isotope testing, Kevin. Still.
At any point during the Ice Age.
Yes, still, they did. Yes.
The newest data proves that this was not the case.
What data is that, Kevin? Because if you're going to say data proves something, you need to show us some data. Otherwise, you are giving us your opinion. Remember what I said about opinions at the very beginning? And about yours in particular? Still applies.
Also, the idea that there were no plants available for human consumption during the Ice Age is just...
Who said that? I didn't. I don't believe Face IQ did. At least I've never heard him say that. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm saying he probably didn't. Because he's about 10 times as intelligent as you are, Kevin. Which wouldn't be hard to do, because what's 10 times fuck all? Depending on how close to actual fuck all, literal fuck all, it could be itself fuck all, or it could be some number not much more than fuck all. What I'm saying is you're as dumb as fuck, Kevin. How's that?
Flat out wrong. People are acting
In your opinion, which, again, is worth nothing because you're an arrogant, ignorant child.
like there were no plant foods around during the Ice Age because the land was just some frozen desert like Antarctica is today. But that's completely incorrect. Plants adapted.
So straw man, okay? So appeal to consensus fallacy and straw man. What else have you got, Kevin? Anything?
And obviously survived the Ice Age, or they wouldn't still be here today.
Yes, we know we survived the Ice Age. That's why we're still here, yes. But that's got nothing to do with whether there were plants available or not still.
Fact is that even during
The fact, if you say the fact is, it makes it a fact, does it, Kevin? No.
Ice Age, there was plentiful plant life all over the world except for Antarctica, of course. If the Ice Age was just some...
You were there, were you, Kevin? In the Ice Age? No? Okay. Shut the fuck up.
frozen wasteland, then there would have been no herbivores during that
The
time.
word is still herbivore.
But there were plenty of them, including non-ruminant herbivores like the woolly mammoth
Still herbivore is the word.
and the woolly rhinoceros. It makes perfect sense that these...
How about the woolly fuckwit? How about the stupid woolly fuckwit? How about the stupid ugly woolly fuckwit? Was that around?
animals existed, because if herbivorous animal species can evolve to survive in colder climates, then why wouldn't plants be able to evolve to do the exact same thing?
Right, so speculation. Wild speculation from a mindless cunt. What's next?
There are plenty of edible plant species that existed during the Ice Age.
Again, were you there? Or are you just reading something, some opinion from somebody that says what was and wasn't around, and then generalizing about it, completely out of context?
Northern Europe, like berries, tubers, nuts, seeds, and legumes. If herbivorous animals are able to survive
Still herbivorous is the word.
in the Ice Age, despite not being even capable of surviving on meat, then certainly humans could have found plant sources of food too.
Yeah, and they did, and nobody is suggesting that they didn't. You silly cunt. 20% is what is suggested by the stable isotope testing. Nobody is stating otherwise. At least nobody that knows what they're talking about.
Especially since we have archaeological data showing that our hominid ancestors have used tools to cultivate and harvest plants as...
And how does that relate to us, modern humans, Homo sapiens sapiens? It doesn't. Okay, what's next?
far back as 780,000 years ago. Also, there's just something I have to talk about because I haven't heard anyone else bring this up.
Oh, Jesus Christ, seriously? There's nothing you have to talk about, Kevin, and we'd prefer it if you would rather refrain from talking about things. Because, son, you're a mindless cunt, you're an arrogant cunt, you're an offensive cunt, you're a repulsive cunt. Just fuck off.
This argument about all humans being forced to eat meat during the Ice Age because there are no plant species available...
Who said that? Still. Not me. I don't believe Face IQ did either. And if you're going to seriously sit there and suggest that during the Ice Age there wasn't a very serious limitation on the amount of plant material available that could be consumed by a human being, then you really are beyond any fucking hope, which is no surprise.
is really ethnocentric. It's not like ancient humans only existed in the cold, harsh climates of Europe. Humans originated in Africa, which is closer to the equator and has tropical regions that are abundant with edible plant life.
Today it does, yes.
All year round, even during the winter.
Today it does, yes. The hint is an ice age. Okay? It means most of the planet was covered in a thick sheet of ice. Yes, there was a more temperate environment around the equator, obviously. Yes, there were more plants available around the equator, obviously. No one's saying otherwise, Kevin. Still, this is not a debunkment of anybody's argument, because this is a straw man.
Humans migrated to Europe only about 50,000 years ago, but many humans stayed behind in the warm tropics. Humans spread out,
They
but
weren't warm at that time, though, Kevin. They were a lot less warm relative to now. Okay? Still.
they didn't abandon the regions where they came from. Even 50,000 years ago, there were humans living in Africa, in the Middle East, in India, and in other regions that are close to the equator, which
Still making absolutely no points that are hitting any fucking marks at all, Kevin. What is your point? Nothing, you are pointless.
Would have been warm and tropical even during the Ice Age. In fact, there were more tropical regions.
So again with the speculation. All right, hold the phone. I will have to answer this telephone call. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment. Apologies, staff, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls in super intelligent shades of the colour sky blue, pink or yellow. Family emergency, so I had to deal with it and will have to deal with it ongoingly, unfortunately, because that is my lot in life, is to deal with the waifs and strays and stuff. Right, let's carry on with what Kevin had to say.
Back then than there are today, since human activity has destroyed most of the rainforest to create cattle feedlots in order to meet the astronomical demand for beef today, largely thanks to pro-meat propagandists like Face IQ. People living in the...
Okay, so yet more mindless, vacuous, pointless, arrogant, ignorant opinions from an absolute cunt. A mindless cunt. What's next?
tropics would not have been forced to change their diet to eat more meat during the Ice Age. The tropics were largely unaffected by the Ice Age. The Ice Age did not turn planet Earth into a giant snowball. There were
Who said it did? Again with the straw man.
still plentiful vegetation that humans could...
You've already said this, remember? Not a minute ago in your own fucking video, you stupid cunt. Do you have anything of any value to add to society in any way, Kevin? It seems not.
have eaten no matter where they were. And even if there were regions where vegetation was scarce and humans were forced to eat more meat than plants, that doesn't mean that a meat-only diet is a natural diet. People are capable...
Who said it is? Nobody that knows anything about it. The natural diet of a human being is 80% meat and fat, and up to 20% largely fibrous tubers. Very little of anything else. The ideal diet for a human being is along those lines. It turns out the fibrous tubers are not required in modern life, because we have access to meat and fat all year round, all the time. At least we do, until various evil influences in the world get their way. But I will fight to the last on that one, using any level of any required activity or force required to defend my right to do so. And I suggest that other human beings join me in this. Join me, I will complete your training, something, something, dark side, something, something. Right, what's next?
of adapting their diet to whatever's available to them. But that in itself doesn't tell us what the healthiest diet is. It only tells us what we are...
No, you see, the thing that tells us what the most healthy diet is common sense, a thing that you lack entirely, Kevin. Based on actual understanding of the science, which you also lack, and based on the experiences of people who have put those things together and put together a package that does work almost universally for people, no matter what their background is genetically, it seems. Okay?
capable of doing in order to survive.
Yes, we can survive for a period of time on a diet that's inappropriate for us, as can lions, as we've established. So still you have no point.
So, in the end, all these archaeological...
But you say in the end, Kevin, but nearly half of your video still remains. When does it end? When do you pull your arrogant fucking head in and shut your arrogant fucking mouth? When does that happen?
arguments don't tell us anything about what we should be eating. They all just boil down to an appeal to nature fallacy. And as I've already shown...
All right. So nature isn't a thing, according to Kevin. He's much more interested in consensus fallacy and straw man fallacy. Actual nature, a thing that actually is and does exist, that's just a fallacy. Oh, good. Okay. We've almost seen enough, haven't we, kids?
There's good reason to doubt that humans even ate as much meat as the carnivore cultists.
You've already said this, and you're still wrong. Demonstrably wrong. Because the isotope testing still tells us exactly what the level has been. Whether that meat was the meat of a ruminant animal or whether it was the meat of a maggot. Still meat.
Claim because the stable isotope data is...
Oh, shut the fuck up. Okay, right. It's been an hour and a half. I will do the second half of this video in another live stream if people want to see it. You'll have to vote for it, meaning you'll have to let me know in the comments that you do need me to carry on with this, because frankly it seems like a pretty pointless endeavour. This is a destitute buffoon without the first fucking clue of what he's doing, what he's talking about. He's an arrogant, ignorant, self-important little cunt, basically, who ought to shut the fuck up. I think that covers it, basically. Maybe Face IQ and I can do part 2, as you say, Joseph. Maybe. Perhaps he'd like to. I don't know. In the meantime, though, I have, as you know, a bit of a family situation to go and deal with. So I will go and do that. Joy. But before I do, let's sing the song, shall we? Steak and eggs and eggs and steak. That's what you should have for your breakfast, Kevin. Delicious. Eggs and steak and no plants at all. Just making sure you heard. I think they got it, kids. Join me next time when someone will be less offensive than Kevin. And if you think he's offensive, perhaps you should vote for him in the Who's the Most Offensive Cunt on the interwebs regarding health, nutrition, or such fields. Dunno. Anyway, if Ted was here, I'd ask him to hit the button, but since Ted is not here to hit the button, I'll have to do it myself. I'm always having to hit my own button. It's really getting old. If you'd like to come to Kumbatia and hit my buttons, let me know.